What's up, Change the Channel podcast listeners? My name is Megan Grace, and this is another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I am over the moon excited to introduce you to someone that has made such a beautiful personal impact in my life. I have been literally, like my arms have been quivering like a little kid. I've been so excited to be in their presence, getting ready to record this podcast. Their name is Pea, and Pea is a business mentor, friend, and just this incredible human being that loves business, connection, and yeah, it's almost hard to put into words who P is. So, but every time we get together and we have conversations, it's like gems just fall from this person's lips. And I'm like, this is unfair that the world is not privy to you and your wisdom. So here we are on the pod. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited again. I'm getting another wave. Oh, so certain things that P and I end up talking about, we talk about business, we talk about relationships, we talk about our own personal growth, we talk about shadow work, human design. Why not? Throw it in there. And so this podcast is going to be probably a yummy sampler platter of any and all of these topics that feel juicy, and you'll understand very quickly why it's so hard to do even an introduction for me, I'm sure.
Megan is being too confident.
Oh, so I'm curious. You and I were having a little bit of a conversation about, you're like, there's this thing that I want to bring forward about, like, what to do when to get off the ride. Yeah. I'd love to just create some space for you to share.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, it's great.
Excuse me. So basically I was saying earlier, like, what do you do when it's not that the light is at the end of the tunnel, it's that you don't know if there's a light at all?
Yeah. That's a big question.
Mm-hmm. And I was in the middle of asking myself this question just a few weeks ago. I'm actually just emerging, and for me, there is a light, I think, coming out of the tunnel. But it's only from this position where I am almost out of the tunnel that I can even begin to bring to you this question of what do you do when you're not seeing the light or an alternate path.
Yeah. I'm curious because you said that you are in the middle of, and it's so juicy. That's so change the channel worthy, to not have fully figured it out, have it all polished and, Instagram savvy and ready to
Right.
not airbrushed, before bringing it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, just honoring the raw middle of what this is, but I'd love it if you wanted to unpack any of what's bringing this up for you or where this is showing up in either your life, your business, all the things.
Well, I could tell you about how it's showing up in my business.
Tell me.
Well, let's see. So I have been in business for 2 years as of February of this year.
Ooh, we love that.
And, when you start a business, or at least when I started my business, you're like a magnet. Everyone is like, this person, they're so excited about what they're doing. I want a piece of that. And leads just come up and come up and come up. And then, most businesses fail. I think it's 50% of businesses fail at the 2-year mark. And I think most businesses fail after 5. So I'm at that 2-year mark.
Ooh.
And it is testing me.
Okay.
In the sense that like it's now those leads, have either become clients, but one-time clients because I do web design and graphic design and coaching and consulting. And so some clients are one-timers, but you still have to maintain that relationship over time. So some leads have become clients, some leads have gone off to do other things. And now it's time for me to maintain that, what is the word I'm thinking of? Like,
yeah, momentum.
That momentum, right?
Yeah.
Right. Generating those leads. And so now, after facing some burnout from generating those leads, I find myself in a position where I have to continue generating those leads in a sustainable way.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to bring up that sustainable word. Yeah.
Which is my word of 2025.
Okay.
So every year for the last few years, I've had a word of the year that is my like Northern Star. And this year's word is sustainable. I would like to live my life, but I would like to run my business in a way that is sustainable.
How, for you, because Pea's also very somatically inclined and, we definitely connect on that. What are some ways that your body tells you that you're moving in your business and your life in sustainable ways?
That's a really good question. I think I know I'm moving in a sustainable way when I'm fully present.
Ooh.
When my feet are on the ground, when I can feel rooted. That's how I know.
That's beautiful. So it's almost like you need, it's being present in the present. That does seem sustainable because anxiety tends to come from being too far in the future. Depression tends to come from being too far in the past.
Right.
So neither of those things are overly sustainable. So it makes sense to be present, to be taking account of where your feet are, where you're sitting, where your eyes are looking, as opposed to the spinning mind.
Right. Which is really hard to do when you're in burnout, which is where I just came out of.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it was challenging. I mean, burnout was a place that I found myself in when I worked my corporate job. And I left my corporate job and I wanted to never feel burnout again.
Yeah.
But when we're working under and living under all of the isms, burnout is just burnout's interesting. I don't know a ton about it. I do have a book on burnout, a workbook on burnout, which is kind of hilarious. Because like, who's gonna do a burnout workbook while they're burnt out?
Yes. Which is probably how far have we gotten in the burnout workbook is the question.
I picked it up.
Okay, great.
I opened it.
Awesome.
I leafed through a few pages and then realized I was too burnt out for the burnout workbook. I put it down. It's been in my closet ever since.
Perfect. So great.
But what I was starting to say about burnout is that some people say that burnout is inevitable, which is what I was about to say. So I was in that moment deciding if I believe that burnout is inevitable. And I think that what I think is that burnout is inevitable if you're not working in a way that's sustainable, but you also have to have access to sustainable practices in order to not burn out.
That's so true. Okay. See, I told you the gems just flow. Like, so what are some of those things? And that also brings up the almost like disproportionate way of how certain people groups, certain historically marginalized communities, like are consistently told good luck with your burnout. And also, we're providing no resources.
Right.
So self-care yourself out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what people are being told. What are some of those things? What do you mean? What are some of those things?
So what, when you're saying like access to resources to help keep burnout at bay, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
In your ideal world.
Oh, love this.
Let's dreamscape.
Yes.
What might be some of those things?
Oh my gosh. Well, my favorite, okay, if you don't know Trisha Hersey, the author of the founder of the NAP Ministry.
Oh, the NAP Ministry.
Like, I don't know if I have the words to describe how life-changing finding her book was. Her book is Rest is Resistance. She does have a second book. And it's just so powerful. It's like ancestral, and it's all about how laziness doesn't exist. Lazy was created by white supremacy to make people who had less energy, less time, less resources feel incapable so they could stay there.
Okay, is anyone else needing to take a breath on that? Like, that made chills go over my whole body. How many of you have conversations in your head about being lazy? How many of you have channels that run through your mind calling yourself lazy when you need a rest day? How many of you have thought about rest being resistance? And how many of you are wanting to resist against things that you don't want to consistently see in the world? Tell me more. Let's get into the juicy goodies of these.
Yeah. How can I describe? So what I would say is that get Rest is Resistance on audio. She's a minister. So her voice is like, she's telling the story and you're just like, I will do whatever this woman says. I will do whatever this woman says. So I recommend listening to the book. Listen to it as many times as it takes for it to settle into you. It's a short book, like 100 pages. And then get the rest deck. The rest deck.
Oh, yeah. We love the rest deck.
Yeah, so you pull it out.
Yes.
Can I read a card?
Yes, please read a card. Yes. Oh my God, how fun.
Okay. So fun stories. So let's go back to when I quit my corporate job.
Okay.
So I left in July of 2023. And is that right? 2022.
Okay. Yeah.
And I decided I would take months off to just like regroup from burnout, resettle my life, and then chart a path forward. And one thing that I did every single day is I pulled a card from this rest deck and I meditated on it for an hour.
Wow.
Every day for a year.
Okay. What I love about that too, number one, we want to support the NAP Ministries because the NAP Ministries needs to happen. But how beautiful that with a tool, again, like being resourced, having a tool, you can create some direction forward where it doesn't need to feel like a consistent spinning doom cycle, but it also is authentic to where you are in the moment. Ooh.
And let me just also say that like I am a 30-year-old Black non-binary person who doesn't have children. So like I have privilege in like we all have privilege, and that is I think a place in which I do. And so I have and had time.
Mm.
To be able to have an hour every day to rest shouldn't be a privilege, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's important to highlight. And also, I don't know, as your friend and someone that just adores you, like, I'm glad you took the hour.
Yeah.
You, especially as an Ebony human, moving through the world, being asked to consistently shapeshift and code switch and morph and adapt and make life so much more palatable for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad you took the hour.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you did for that whole year, and I hope I'm excited too to see what's gonna come forward for this moment.
You will be excited when you take the hour as well.
Love
if you have the hour, listeners. So usually I flip them at the front. Yellow facing means I've already pulled the card.
Okay.
Let's see what we have for listeners today.
This is so great. This might be a new thing I do on the pod, pulling an oracle deck. Okay, what do we have?
Says, my body is sacred. Exhaustion does not honor the sacred. You don't want a seat at the table. The table is full of oppressors. You want a blanket and pillow down by the ocean. You want to rest. Exhaustion is not your legacy. Honor the divinity in yourself. Turn your back on grind culture. You are sacred.
Oof. Yeah. Did you get the chills?
Mm-hmm.
Which side of your body do you get the chills on?
This side.
Mine, it's funny.
Yeah.
So P pointed to their left, and my right side lights up like a Christmas tree. What, after reading this, what comes forward to you? What are the things that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I think just like not wanting a seat at the table. I think we're so, we talk about as women, like I identify as like non-binary, AFAB, so assigned female at birth. And often like that means that I'll like align with feminist thought or womanist thought. And so I think we think about like glass ceilings, but like that's still within the house, within the structure.
Oh, yeah.
So when it says you don't want a seat at the table, I'm like, oh, forget this table. I'm like, this table wasn't made for me.
Oh my gosh. My whole stomach just sighed. There's like fighting so hard to get to a seat at a table that's not designed for you. Mm-hmm. What else could we be doing with that energy? That's what my mind goes to.
Yeah. Yeah. Building alternate futures, which is what this deck does. I feel like low key, I feel like I'm advertising the deck. I feel like half of this episode is me advertising the deck. But when you asked earlier about tools, right? When you asked about tools, like this tool has been instrumental, pivotal in reorienting me as a recovering perfectionist, like to be told that I'm not lazy and to rest for an hour every day or at least once a week, to really just know that rest is anything that's not productivity, and that rest doesn't mean that you need to be productive after.
Or earned before either.
Or earned before. Like, you're human, you're divine, you get to rest. Just really changed things for me.
I love that. I love the shifting, because even as we were talking from the beginning, kind of the idea of when do you decide that you're not going towards a light? There's not a light at the end of this tunnel situation. Let's get off the ride. I think one of the rides that I love that it seems like we're talking about getting off of is this idea of assigning laziness to people. Mm-hmm. Because the fact of the matter is we never know the battles someone else is fighting. We never know whether they were able to eat before they came to whatever they were doing. We have no idea their emotional bandwidth and capacity. We have no idea what they just saw on their phone that has brought forward, a million and other things. We have no idea what maliversaries are on the horizon for them. Like, we have no idea if this is a hard week or a hard month, or if it's actually just felt like a hard lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what if we change the channel on the word laziness? And what if instead we use the experience of noticing someone in a feeling of laziness, quote unquote, whatever we've seen before, and instead ask, is there some way that I can come alongside of you? Or how would it feel for you to take an hour for yourself? Like, we can all do that for each other. This is not rocket science, but this has been trained out of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It really has. Yeah, and I love when she says, you want a blanket and a pillow down by the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, how expansive is the ocean? It's where I want to be.
Exactly. I love that. I love that so much.
What other questions do you have?
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. And I was thinking about also in this idea of expansion. I love that you also introduced the varieties of ways that you identify and who you kind of embody as you move through the world. And I know you do a lot of amazing training on even things around pronouns and on identity. And so I wanted to give just some spot on the mic for any of the stuff that you would love to help change the channel for other people around these conversations.
Totally. Let's see. Well, I use they, them pronouns.
Okay.
And I think it's really, how do I want to say this? I want folks to know that using the wrong pronouns is not the end of the world.
Whew, okay.
That's like the first thing. If there's anything you remember from this episode, it's that using the wrong pronouns, doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a human. We're just like we'd mentioned with laziness, we're socialized to see someone and to assign a gender to them. It happens so quick. Another thing I want you to know is that I use the wrong pronouns sometimes. So even as a person who uses, different pronouns, I don't always use the right pronouns for my friends. Sometimes I fall into that social conditioning and I trip up too. I actually just spoke at a conference in Washington, and I didn't speak on pronouns, but I created the content around pronouns for my colleague. And the main thing I wanted people to know was just that if you use the wrong pronouns, be quick to forgive yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, be quick to forgive yourself and don't bring attention to that mistake, right? Like the fumbling around something, like I know it's different because it's not the most common thing that everyone's used to. Like if you were to use the wrong name when you address someone, like if someone's name is Bob, you're like, hey, Bob, or hey, John, whoops, I meant Bob. You would just course correct gracefully.
Yes.
Try to implement that graceful course correct with pronouns. People aren't going to see you as homophobic or transphobic because you use the wrong pronouns. That's what I want people to know.
That's beautiful. And what does it feel like for you when people are intentional about using pronouns that feel good to you?
Okay, you can't see, but I just lit up because it feels so affirming when people use the right pronouns. I feel seen in my wholeness. In every aspect, I feel like I'm seen as a prism as opposed to like a 2D triangle. Because there's this whole other dimension to queerness and to my identity that is then honored when my correct pronouns are used.
That's amazing. And I know because everybody is an individual, we can not lump people into categories. That's actually the point.
Yeah.
But I would love to know anything you want to share about your experience as a non-binary person, what it means to you, what the prisms are, because I think as someone that was assigned female at birth, presents as such, and is like comfortable with pronouns that people naturally use for me, I also oftentimes feel like limited by what people think a woman might be as well. But I think that with the non-binary experience, I just don't want you to feel like you have to speak on behalf of everyone kind of thing, because that's silly. But also, I'd love to know what your experience of being a non-binary person is.
Totally. For me, I self-describe as non-binary because I feel androgynous and I feel like the masculine and the feminine reside within me. So that's what I mean when I say I'm non-binary. I mean that I could be giving daddy one day, and the next day I'm giving princess, and the next day I'm giving prince, and the next day I'm giving Grace Jones. Like,
love.
Truly.
Yeah.
So I just mean that, like, when it comes to the ways in which I want to express, they're infinite.
Yeah.
They're infinite. That's been my experience as a non-binary person. I think one thing I would like to see in society shift is that folks who are a MAB or assigned male at birth, who identify as non-binary, often aren't seen to identify as non-binary. So what that means is, like, another way to say that is, like, if there's someone who is assigned female at birth, a fab, and they identify as non-binary, and they use they them pronouns, people are more accepting of that person. People understand. Like, it makes, for some reason, people are like, okay, this makes sense to me that your gender is more neutral. But when people see a MAB people assigned male at birth, there's this disconnect between allowing there to be space for them to identify as non-binary. And I think that causes some erasure for folks and makes it harder for them to express fully. So that's something I would want people to know. Because I think when we talk about toxic masculinity, we're giving less options to people who are assigned male at birth.
That's so true.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's so true. That's what I'm trying to say. Is we're like, okay, you can either be like this or you can be like this.
Which is so stifling and perpetuates all the things that people don't want to be experiencing.
That people don't want to be associated with.
Yeah. That's so real. That's so real.
Yeah. So, like, leave room, leave room for your sons, leave room for your brothers, leave room for your dads, just leave some room.
Ugh. Okay. I love that. Yeah. I also believe, I can get off on, like, a PhD in my own opinion about the ways that, that I think those that are assigned, like, male at birth, also in the wellness space. It's like,
tell me about
it's
this.
just like consistently overlooked, consistently underrepresented, consistently. It's like, I don't know, even when I'm making or thinking about offers for my own business, it's like people are so quick to be like, sure, a woman probably needs that. And I'm like, everybody needs that. And, like, I feel especially passionate about that for, like, my partners and for my brother and even the conversations I have with my dad. It's like, I get frustrated because I'm like, he'll be in physical pain and he's moving in a way that is showing me that he is in physical pain, but it wouldn't occur to him to ask for any kind of relief about that.
Yeah.
And the thing I want to say is, you getting relief for the pain that you're feeling does not take away from someone else's opportunity to get relief from the pain that they're feeling.
Totally.
Like, this is silly. We really need to like walk back this narrative.
Well, and can I add?
Yes,
like,
please.
You getting relief from the pain that you're feeling doesn't make you lesser.
Yes.
Doesn't make you weak.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make you incapable. It's a sign of wisdom.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then it gives capacity. And sustainability, right? Because why are we expecting everyone to hold more than they can?
Yeah.
That just we ask kids to sit still when their bodies are growing and moving and they're curious and creative and they make vocalizations. Why are we asking them to sit still and be quiet? Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. And then getting upset when they can't do it. And then with men, why are we asking men to just sit and bear this whole, I don't need anybody. I've got this. I have no one to call. Why would I call anybody anyway? And then get confused why social settings go awry, we'll say.
Can I plug another?
Yes.
pod?
Yes,
Okay,
of course.
This is
No, please.
This is so good. Okay, so I occasionally listen to the daily.
Okay.
Because sometimes I gotta know what's going on.
Sometimes we want to tap dance in and tap dance out.
And one episode that they played recently was from their Modern Love podcast. Why Boys and Men Are Floundering, according to therapist Terry Real.
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good. He just describes, he's just honest with his male patients about their behavior.
Yeah.
In a way that other therapists aren't. And he even talks about how therapists are taught in school to minimize women's experiences and to tell them that they're wrong in heterosexual relationships.
Yeah.
That's what therapists are taught to do. And so and then that men are separating themselves from their emotions as opposed to being in relationship with them.
Yeah.
And how that harms them.
Yeah.
And how that harms everyone.
That's so true.
Really good episode.
Okay, so we will put a link to the NAP ministry and then also to this podcast as well in the show notes, because education is beneficial and connection is important, and we want to support those things. That's such a good point. And I also just want to highlight and bring back to you, this is part of what true community building is. It's how do I take what is being talked about and build and bring resources. And I love that the conversation started with, what is your experience of being non-binary? And you immediately, because this is who you are, were like, who else might be not feeling fully represented, or who else is being seen through a limited lens? Yeah. Because that's P. And it's important.
Well, and I mean, also that has been the role of Black femmes in social justice. It's always been whoever is so marginalized is so able to see who else is. And if you are so marginalized, you are so inclined to raise others up. It's just how you're oriented. It's just how you're oriented. I don't know any other way to describe it. I have so much empathy because so much has happened to my subset of people.
Yeah. I love that you choose to lean in that way. And yeah, are there other things that potentially people, might not know about, your experiences? You're bringing that up as well. It's being an ebony person, being an ebony femme person. And what else does society just sort of assign as, quote, your work, your job?
I mean, where can we go with this?
You can take it. You can go anywhere you want. You can go wherever you want.
So It's really interesting because I took like a women's studies class and I've taken a Black studies, and what I've come to learn about like being a Black girl or woman is that you've got like 4 archetypes.
Okay.
You are the mammy, so you're like the mom, older character,
Mm-hmm.
or you're like the harlot, so you're like the sexy one, or you're like angry, cranky,
Okay.
older woman. Like these are like the 3. I think there's like 4. There's like 3 to 4 like archetypes of
Okay.
who you can be, and so, and you see this in media. You see it played out all the time. And for me, growing up, I was like hypersexualized. That's where people went with me. And then now that I've like shaved off all my hair because I don't care about the male gaze, I've literally just become like invisible.
Oh.
There's this thing that happens where it's like, there's this thing that happens for women and non-binary people too, where like in society we're like, oh, like you are attractive into your 20s,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
you start to just peter off the side of a cliff. And at least that's what
It's so real.
Like.
That's so real.
Isn't that what it feels like?
It feels very much like that.
It's insane. And so, and then like men are just like more, they're gaining attractiveness, they're gaining success as life goes on, which is just so, can't we just be people in bodies?
Yes.
And
Please.
so for me, my experience is that there's just erasure for me. There's, because and this is twofold, right? I'm getting older, so there's that effect on me as like a non-binary person, but then I also have like rejected the male gaze, and so then there's that like societal rejection there too. Right? I'm not playing into like the sexual component. I'm not playing into like the beauty in the same, like I'm playing into queer beauty as opposed to like heteronormative beauty. And so there's like this extra layer of erasure on top of, that's all encased in my Blackness.
Wow. That, no wonder you wanted an hour to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Wow.
And Black women often preferred to work from home.
Okay.
Because of the microaggressions in the workplace. And that was a study that I saw, and then I actually experienced at this conference that I went to.
Really?
I experienced multiple microaggressions, and I was like, oh yeah, this is why I like to work by myself.
Wow. Well, and what's so interesting about that too is like, I mean, I'm always thinking about things from the lens of like the body, and the body, the nervous system is like, has this stress offloading thing, the tend and befriend. We hear all about the fight or flight, all of those things, but we don't hear about that to have co-regulation with someone else can actually bring down stress, and it can bring down basically the internal temperature within ourselves, and tap into the frontal cortex of the brain and be able to make logical thought processes with more ease. And so what I hear you saying is the world not only is tasking you with more things, it's setting up a scenario where it doesn't even feel safe to be out in community, to be utilizing the way that your body was meant to offload some of the stress.
Yeah.
So there's isolated little pockets of people that are overtasked and under supported.
Absolutely.
And given 3 options of who to be. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and going back to this conference, so I had 3 times where I spoke, where I led groups. The first workshop was for BIPOC group, which was Black, Indigenous people of color. The second group was for queer folks. And then the third group, what I led, I was part of a panel discussion. And it's really interesting because for the BIPOC group, I get a little nervous when I do public speaking, like I'm still getting more into it.
Yeah.
And for the BIPOC group, I was like, hey everyone, let's do this. I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah.
For the queer group, I was like, hey everyone, let's do this. I'm so excited you're here. And then for the panel discussion, where I wasn't in a room filled with people who identify the way I do, I I got nervous, I stammered, I choked. So it's
Wow.
like very, very clear.
Uh-huh.
Like if I'm in an affinity space that I can just be I can fully express, right? And that was proven 2 times over. And then this third space where there's not people who think or feel or move in the way that I do, I wasn't able to bring my fullness to that experience.
Interesting. Yeah. And what else is wild to me, because I feel privileged to get to see varieties of your fullness. It's so ironic how we have these systems and things that are not working well, and we want to come up with solutions. And a lot of the wise ones don't feel like they can come with their full selves to the picnic blanket because no one's trying to go to a table anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's real. That's real. And I think that it's really important for us to be mindful of that with each other, and especially be mindful of that of folks that have been historically marginalized, because there's going to be a double dose of that feeling. I'm sorry that happened.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry for them too, because they missed out on some gold. And stammering, let's also just say, it's okay if we can't just say the thing perfectly out of our face holes. Like,
we're not robots.
We're not robots. And it's terrifying to speak in front of people sometimes.
Totally.
Especially if you're not sure if people are like gonna vibe with it.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, that's so yeah.
So I'm joining Toastmasters.
Okay.
To brush up on my public speaking, which is, like you were mentioning, yes, I'm being tasked with more. And that is my response to being tasked with more, is like, how can I speak? How can I overcome this? This, which is like, do I want to I want to overcome it because I have a message to share. But it is like this extra ask for me to have to go that much further to be able to share my message.
Is that one of the rides that you're getting off of, like you were talking about before?
It might be. It might be one of those rides I'm getting off of, yeah.
This was like a stay tuned thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but bringing it back to not knowing if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Do you know what it is?
Tell me.
I'm the light. It's me.
Yeah.
That's what turning 30 has made me realize. That's what going through change after change after change has made me realize. If I want anything, it's within me to navigate toward it. And it always has been.
Oh my God. I love this. I just adore you. I'm so grateful for the ways that you generously share your experience. And I have a feeling there's going to be some more conversations on the podcast. Like, I feel like this one is really important for people to sit with, the, removing these tags of laziness, like being mindful of what your neighbor is holding, like being open to other people's lived experiences, and then knowing that you are the light.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are there any other little nuggets that feel important for today? No pressure, but I also want to make sure that you just have as much space to speak.
While if you find yourself in self-employment, year 2, and you're trying to find clients, just remember those wins from earlier and take stock. Take stock of your achievements, or take stock of things you're proud of. Take stock of how far you've come, because that's like I don't know, useful fire building, right? Like that's the wood for the fire that you need to stoke in yourself so you can keep going forward. So take stock of how far you've come.
Yeah. It is important. I remember we were talking a little bit earlier about that feeling of sometimes coming back to a similar either trigger or a similar experience in life at different points in our lives. And like the gift it can be sometimes when someone else can witness out loud for you, like, hey, like you're doing this differently.
Yeah.
Who you be has evolved. Like your natural needs are shifting. And living in true authenticity, you're choosing closeness when you may have chosen to pull away.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's important for business. That's important for our relationships. It's important for us within ourselves. That's important for us within our guides, like even in our ancestors, the dance of all of it. Yeah. And to be able to sit with and honor what you've walked through and honor all the various parts of yourself that needed to show up in the ways that they did to get you into this moment. Yeah. Like each and every one of those get to be celebrated as well. And you're right. That's another tool to stay in the game. To stay in the game.
Absolutely.
Oh, Pea, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Y'all, I hope you were as giddy as I was because I'm going to probably re-listen to this over and over again, but thank you so much for being the type of people that intentionally are being mindful of your mindset, thinking about the things that you're thinking about, not just walking through the world haphazardly, because that's what Change the Channel is all about. So thank you for being along for the ride with us. And this was another juicy episode of Change the Channel podcast.